Oh, we're so sorry to hear about
Overwatch.
that passed away. He gets 5 big booms. Boom! 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 Boom!
Overwatch is dead. Again. But who pulled the final trigger? Some might say Blizzard themselves, but I have a new suspect. Marvel Rivals. I know, it sounds dramatic, but the numbers don't lie. Or at least they're screaming loudly enough to grab our attention. So let's dive into the saga of Overwatch's rise and fall, and how Marvel Rivals gave it a serious knockout punch. But first, are you subscribed? No? Everyone watching this video isn't subscribed, so please sub to the channel so I can feed my 50 children. Let's start at the beginning, shall we? Overwatch launched in 2016, a hero shooter phenomenon. It had a talking gorilla, a time-jumping Brit, and a cowboy who changed his name so many times we've lost count. It topped the charts, had an esports scene that sold out stadiums, and gave us highlight reels for days. But then came Overwatch 2, also known as Overwatch 1.1 to some fans. A sequel that introduced a scoreboard, a 5 versus 5 mode, and some new heroes. Needless to say, the hype wasn't exactly as mind-blowing as the original. Meanwhile, Marvel Rivals shows up, a flashy new team-based shooter with iconic superheroes. Everyone's favourite Avengers, X-Men and cosmic weirdos duking it out in massive battles with over-the-top abilities. And Overwatch players, well, they started to look over at that shiny new toy. Let's rewind to when Marvel Rivals first showed its face, a new hero shooter starring iconic Marvel characters. People scoffed. It'll be a cheap Overwatch clone, they said. It's just banking on the Marvel brand, they said. No way this game makes it past the beta, they said. Yet the moment the beta opened, curious players loaded in, half expecting a subpar copycat. Instead, they found a smooth, polished experience with an easy-to-pick-up but hard-to-master style. Sure, it was reminiscent of Overwatch's team-based objective modes, heroes with unique abilities, but then you realize you can literally call down lightning as Thor or scale walls like Spider-Man. Suddenly, freezing enemies as May doesn't feel quite as epic as cooking with Jeff the Land Shark. By the end of that beta, the doubters had flip-flopped faster than Quicksilver running a mile. The "let's hate on the new clone" crowd was now flooding their social media feeds with highlights of them bashing enemies with Captain America's shield. Overwatch loyalists started throwing side eyes, wondering if this Marvel upstart was about to do something big. Then came launch day. Marvel Rivals arrived with a superhero landing that would make Black Widow proud. The game boasted a roster packed with fan-favorite heroes, a variety of modes, and a progression system that had players drooling over unlockable skins and flashy finishes. Even critics who were itching to tear it down had to admit, hey, this is pretty fun. Imagine you're the Overwatch dev team. You've got your sequel going, a brand new 5 versus 5 format, and you're trying to hype up your latest hero release. Suddenly, the entire gaming community is freaking out about Iron Man and how his ultimate basically levels half the map with a giant unibeam. Your own hamster in a mech hero is overshadowed by Marvel's unstoppable pop culture machine. Ouch, that's got a sting. The numbers backed this up. Reviews poured in from every corner of the internet, scores that overshadowed Overwatch's recent updates. As soon as players realized the game wasn't just a cash grab, hype spread like a rumor in a high school cafeteria. Before long, the question wasn't, is Marvel Rivals any good? But rather, how could Overwatch possibly keep up? They brought back 6v6. Twitch is where the war got real. Once upon a time, Overwatch owned massive viewer counts, top streamers, highlight reels, 24/7 coverage. Then, as Marvel Rivals opened its digital gates, the switch from Overwatch to Marvel Rivals felt almost instantaneous. Why watch a payload crawl up a hill when you can watch Jeff the Land Shark spray his juices on his ops? No diddy. That kind of talk started dominating chat. Meanwhile, Overwatch's viewer numbers trickled downward. It wasn't rock bottom, but it sure wasn't the powerhouse it used to be. People who never touched Overwatch in their life were showing up on Marvel Rivals streams just because it's Marvel. You had variety streamers ditching their usual lineups and going, okay, I gotta try this new hero shooter, if it means I can fight alongside Wolverine. By the time Overwatch fans blinked, Marvel Rivals was dethroning them in daily and weekly viewer averages. Then came the exodus from the Overwatch faithful. Imagine the biggest Overwatch streamers you know. Folks who built their whole brand on analysing patch notes, testing new heroes, and grinding the competitive ladder. One after another, they posted announcements like, I'm gonna give Marvel Rivals a quick shot, see what all the fuss is about. A week later, their channels were fully dedicated to Marvel Rivals. Their Overwatch-themed banners replaced by icons of Iron Man or a giant "Assemble" catchphrase. Some said they were just going where their audience wanted them to go. Others confessed that, after thousands of hours in Overwatch, Marvel Rivals felt like a much-needed breath of fresh air. Overwatch fans, of course, took it personally. You betrayed us for some new, flashy superhero game? Let's compare the nuts and bolts. Overwatch thrives on synergy. You pair a shield tank with a healer, you coordinate ultimates, you push objectives. Marvel Rivals, on the surface, looks similar. Capture points, push payloads, control zones. But the hero roster is drenched in Marvel flair. You can be Iron Man, Hulk, Black Widow, or lesser-known characters who still pack a punch. In Overwatch, you might stand behind Reinhardt's shield and pray your DPS land their shots. In Marvel Rivals, you're flying above the battlefield, raining down energy blasts, or webbing enemies to the floor. Pause. One game feels like a team-based tactical shooter, the other is essentially a superhero power fantasy with team objectives. And guess which one is currently winning that popularity contest? Now, some Overwatch fans argue the core gameplay in Marvel Rivals is more chaotic, less refined. But that hasn't stopped the masses from pouring in, enticed by the chance to do a cinematic finishing move with Wolverine's claws. Hype can overshadow nuance, and right now, hype is definitely on Marvel's side. So who actually killed Overwatch? Did Marvel Rivals snipe it from the rooftops? Or did Overwatch shoot itself in the foot, leaving Marvel Rivals to simply stroll in and claim the throne? Is Overwatch truly dead? Well, let's not bury it just yet. There are still daily players, die-hard fans, and plenty of folks who argue that Overwatch, at its core, is one of the best hero shooters ever made. But we can't ignore that Marvel Rivals is currently hogging the spotlight, and the player counts, and the Twitch front page. Overwatch could make a comeback. We've seen games bounce back with big expansions or reworks, but they need more than the occasional new hero or a balance patch. They might need a true wow factor, something that can wrest the spotlight back from a superhero game that lets you harness cosmic powers. That's a tall order. Maybe Overwatch will introduce crossovers of its own. Imagine Winston in an Iron Man suit, or Reinhardt wielding Mjolnir. Actually, that might break the game. But hey, at this point, any crazy idea might be worth exploring if it means competing with the unstoppable Marvel brand. So, did Marvel Rivals kill Overwatch? Maybe. Or maybe Overwatch set up its own demise, and Marvel Rivals merely delivered the knockout punch. Whatever your stance, one thing is certain. Hero shooters just got a lot more competitive, and we, the gamers, get to enjoy the fireworks. What do you think? Are you still pushing payloads in Overwatch, or have you been swayed by the thrill of Iron Man's flight and Groot's wood? Share your thoughts in the comments. Like this video if you want Overwatch to revive itself in a blaze of glory, or if you're happily spamming Avengers Assemble in Marvel Rivals lobbies. Thanks for watching. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have to see if I can out-heal Mercy by playing Doctor Strange in Marvel Rivals, because apparently, heroes never die unless Marvel shows up.